Okay, so first create the project structure. Create the folder for this project, and you will have to create the .ipynb file. That means it is Python notebook, and database, whatever you are using .csv file, it should be in the same directory. Okay, so we will close the previous earlier files, and we will open our new file which we just have created. This is our current folder within which we are going to write our code. So just drag it here in the VS Code. Why it is not open? Yeah, it is open now. Now, as it is mentioned here, we will have to create the .ipynb file, which will be a Python notebook. Just rename the project. IPYNB. And just make sure that the database should be in the same directory, because we are going to load it in our project. And yeah, that's it. Now we will start writing the code. The first step is to import the libraries. So pandas and numpy libraries we will import. In case you are facing any error, there are many tutorials available on the YouTube to solve those errors, and then you can come here, run it. It will take some time. It is imported. Now that database which we have, we are going to load it in our project. So read underscore CSV is the method which we are going to use, and we will just mention the name of our database. Again, I am telling it should be in the current project, currently working directory. Otherwise, it will not load. Then we will use the head function, so it will just return the 5 rows of our data frame. So we are just checking that the database is there or not. As you can see, all the titles are there. Then we will just check what are the empty fields, which fields are blank there in the columns. So we are just getting the sum of that, because we don't want any missing values in our data frame. So paste this and check the sum of the missing values. So as you can see, in society there are too many, and balcony also too many missing values are there. So we don't want that. So we'll do one thing, we'll just drop those columns. So you can use the drop function and just mention the name of the columns, and those columns will be removed from the data frame. Now we can check again. We will verify whether those columns are gone or not. As you can see, they are not here. So we will just replace those missing values. So we will use fill any method, and we will replace those missing values with white field. So using that, we will not have any blank values in the location column. So just paste that code. Now we have to do two things. This is our database, right, which we are using in our project. So can you see the size column? These values are okay. So first thing we will do is we will fill those empty values, like null values should not be present. And then we don't want this 2 BHK, 4 BHK, bedroom and all. We just want the number, like if 2, 4, 3, that's like we want. And the second thing, in total square feet column, if you go below, you can see some values are like in range form. See this value. So we don't want this range and all. We just want this single integer value. See this point. See this range value again. So we don't want that. We just want single value. So we will perform these two operations now. Now in the size column, we will replace the null values with 2 BHK. Done. Now in bath column, there were some null values, so we want to replace them as well. So we will replace those empty values with the median. You know median, right? So median is like the average number. I don't know why this black highlight is not going. Okay, so we will just replace those null values with the median value. and then again we will check. I think the null values should not be there now. Yeah, it is 0. All the null values we have replaced it. Now in size column we have seen like there were 2 bhk, 3 bhk, so those kind of values were there, but we don't want two string, we just want one integer value. So first we will split it, so and then we will get the first integer value, means using get method we will pass just the 0 as the index. And why is this error? Yeah, so we will split it and then we will get the first index value, and then we will just convert it into integer using as type function. We will try one more time. Yeah, it is working now. Now we want to create one function which will be like it is string, right? So first we will split it, then we will give condition that if length of the string is 2, 2 means range, so we don't want range, right? So we will simply create the average of those two values, and if there is only one value then return none, that means keep it as it is. See, if the length is 2, create the average, otherwise return none. So this range converter function we will create. Split it using dash, right? And now we will just simply apply this range converter function on this total square feet column. So now all the values will be integer. We don't have range now. Okay. Now we will just simply check the results using head function. So those range values should be gone. As you can see, all the integer values are there. And in BHK column, just simple integer values there, first index. Okay, now we will create one new column, price per square feet. So we will just multiply the price by 1 lakh and divide it by total square feet value. So this operation will get applied to the values in price per square feet. Multiply by 1 lakh and divide by total square feet. Some error is there. Yeah. Done. Now we will check this new column using head function. See, in the last price per square feet is there. Now we will see the unique values in the location column. Okay, so this much locations are present in our database. Now we will apply the one lambda function called strip. So it will just remove the white spaces, the spaces before and after the string, to make our string cleaner. Now we want to get the how many times we want to get the count of the locations. So one specific location, how many times it is there in the database. So we will get the unique value of those locations. Okay, we got the count. Now just type this variable location count. See, this much times those locations are used, but some locations are used very less times, like, so we will do one thing. So those values which are, those locations which are used less than 15, we will just categorize them as others. Okay, so we create one variable for that. If the location count is less than 15, store it in the variable called location count less. See, this much locations are used less than 15. So for this we will create one lambda function. So on the location column we will apply one lambda function. So lambda x means x represents values in location column. So see, if it is less than 15, then replace it with other, replace it with the text other, or just x, return x means, otherwise keep it as it is. Okay. Okay, now check the value count. Value should not be less than 16, it should be more than 16. I will edit this document later. See, values are more than 16 or 16. Now we will just use the describe function to get the description of the data. Okay, you can see. So actually there is too much difference between mean and standard deviation. It shouldn't be like that. They should be close to each other. So we will apply these three function operations. Total square feet divided by BHK should be greater than or equal to 300. Basically we are calculating per BHK price. Okay, so it should be more than 300. Then BHK should be less than or equal to 5, and bath value should be less than or equal to 5. Store them in the dataset variable. and then check the description of the data again. So per square feet value should be more than 300. Now check the description. Okay, so it is quite good now. Now we will check the row and column size using shape function. Okay. Now check the head function one more time. Okay, looking good. Okay, now we are just mentioning the important columns in the data set. Basically, we are removing the size column. We won't be using it in the future. So now we will calculate the lower limit and upper limit values. And what is the technique? Basically, first we will calculate the standard deviation, and more than we will multiply it by 3. So our values will be more than or less than 3 times its standard deviation. Okay, so this is the technique. Calculate the standard deviation, multiply it by 3, and more than its 3 times means upper limit, less than its 3 times means lower limit. And now the newer price column values will be less than upper limit and more than lower limit. So those price values will be updated. Okay, just paste it. Okay, the values are updated now. Check using the head function. And now finally we can proceed the model making. So now value of x will be all the rows excluding the last, and value of y will be the last column. Okay, we will represent using -1. Done. Now we will use the split function, and we will basically split the data between x train and y train variable, which we calculated in earlier steps, right? So we will just split it, and which will be useful for developing our model. Now we will use the column transformer. Okay, so in this we will use two functions, one autoencoder. Basically this is used when we have multiple data types, right? So the location column, we want to convert it into integer data type. So for that we have used one autoencoder, and standard scaler is used. We must have the common scale. Okay, before creating our machine learning model, we must have common scale. So that's why we have used this standard scaler. Okay, now we will use this random forest regressor algorithm. So basically, whenever we will have this prediction kind of projects, right? So that time we will use this algorithm. And estimator we will keep it as 300. Always remember, in prediction kind of projects, use this algorithm. Now we will use this make pipeline method to create our pipeline, and we will just pass the column transformer and the model which we used in earlier steps. And store this pipeline in the pipe variable. Now just print it. Some error. Okay, so P should be small. Now on this pipeline, we will use the feed function. Basically, it will arrange and collect all the transformers which we have created earlier, and it will transform the data. Okay, done. Now we will import R2 score. Okay, so R2 score is basically coefficient of determination. So it will just show the quality of your regression model, and the value should be more than 0.7. Yeah, it is. As you can see, it is more than 0.7. Now we will just import the matplotlib, and we will plot our actual versus predictor data. As you can see, the values are maximum values are dots are on the line. Okay, which indicates that our results are good. Then we will just import pickle and use the dump function. So basically it is used for serialization. Means we are saving the state of the file, state of our model and the data set. Because if we want to use it in the future, we don't want to start from the scratch. So we will save the state. Done. Now we will have to create one new file, app.py. Now we will import the libraries. Now we will load the dataset and the model which we created in that Python notebook. Okay, this is called deserialization. So earlier we have saved the state of the file, and then now we are continuing from that and save the results in model and dataset variable. Now using unique function, we will remove the duplicate values in the location column. Now we have started using the Streamlit functions. So first set the title. Now using select box function, we will create one select box where we will select the location. It is like drop down. Okay. So now we are using 3 inputs. We will create 3 inputs. So first will be for total square feet, second will be for bath, and third will be for BHK. And we have also set the maximum and minimum values. Okay. Now using st.button, we are creating this button called predict. And then whatever values we have entered earlier, like location, total square feet, bath, and BHK, we will pass those and we will store those values in the input data variable. Then we will use model.predict function and we will pass those values. We will pass that variable input underscore data. And finally, using write function, we will print the predicted price. Just paste it. And now all we have to do is run the application using Streamlit run app.py. So create one new terminal and run the command. Why it is not loading the data? I don't know what is the issue. We will again save and create one new terminal and retry. Yeah, as you can see, our project is running. We will just select the location, enter square feet, enter bathroom and bedroom. Yes, our project is working now.